Welcome at the live stream with How to DAO and Common. Uh, Today, we have Kevin Aoki here on the live stream, who is the co-author of How to DAO book with me, and also founder of Gitcoin. And we have Reese here from Common that are launching programmable communities. So welcome, guys. Good to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, good to be here. What's up?
Nice. So just like little intro, maybe from like how to DAO, and then I will give it to Reese to introduce Common. How to DAO, it's the guide for people to enter the new world of DAOs. We started with the book, which you can now pre-order at howtodao.xyz, and we are also doing courses and more education for people so they can really explore this new design space. And here we have a common because there is a lot of synergies with common as a kind of technology platform for DAO. So Reese, can you give us some intro what this common is about?
Yeah, for sure. Launched back in 4 years ago now. Um, it was born from a problem that we faced within our own community around governance and coordination. So, launched this crypto Web3 native all-in-one platform for governance and coordination. We started with the hosting the kind of the core of the governance process and have expanded since to kind of facilitate a bunch of different coordination within Web3 communities.
Nice, nice, super cool. So you've been around for a while
Hmm.
as well. The book is just coming out, but it's based on like 3 years of research with DAOs. So that leads me to the question, kind of about the book. Kevin, like, why do you think people should care about DAOs, and like how the book can kind of help them to actually explore it?
Yeah, I think both for starting it out and joining it out, it's a really good opportunity to um, get. I think it's the future of work, to be honest. And yeah, you want to be where the ahead of the curve. Get into DAOs, and I think this book is the culmination of like 4 years of what we've seen and learnings from what we've seen about hosting all of these DAOs. So yeah, excited to launch it.
Nice, nice. Yeah, yeah. And we are super excited that your book is coming along with ours. Kind of like as a complementary bundle. Together some like of the practical 4 year experience of yours and some of our experience and stories from the DAO. So the common book is coming with the How to DAO book together in the special deal actually. So we will announce it very soon where you can purchase for the price of one book. You get actually both books, the common books and the How to DAO book. And regarding the How to DAO book, Kevin, like what's your view kind of on DAOs? Do you also think like that's future work and that's why you wrote it for people?
Yeah, so I mean, I think that DAOs are a really incredible primitive for internet era coordination. And one of the things that's really exciting for me about DAOs is that I think that they're one of the frontiers in the internet right now. AI is a frontier. I think that crypto is another frontier. And, if you look back into history, different generations have had different frontiers. In the 1800s in the Americas, we went west in order to find peace and prosperity and resources. In the 70s, a bunch of baby boomers moved across the country and bought houses for single digit thousands or sometimes double digit thousands that are now worth millions of dollars. And so they've had a real estate boom that's been powered by a lot of macroeconomic factors. And I think for our generation, our version of pushing the frontier is going online and exploring the vast potential that cyberspace has. And DAOs are just a really great vehicle for internet era coordination because they're credibly neutral. They allow you to participate from anywhere. The smart contracts are enforced from anywhere that you have an internet connection. And so they're just, I think, going to be a really important primitive for people who are doing crypto in multiplayer mode and building wealth and building their own self actualization in the internet. So DAOs are a very wide category, so it's possible to overgeneralize here, but like I think we're really talking about the future of how impact is done, the future of how profits are made, the future of work. I think was mentioned earlier on the call. So the potential is quite wide here, and I'm very excited to not only explore it myself, but lead gaggles of cohorts of people to explore it as well.
Yeah, and like, and it's not that hard to join the DAOs. You know, the future is there, and like there is so much potential. And just running the first cohort of students, and we are just like halfway through our course. You can see like how you can get pretty familiar with DAOs, in a couple weeks, and you can start contributing to one. You can basically together start building one. So what I would give an advice to people, it's like, don't be afraid. You have, if you have the guidance, and someone maybe who's already in the DAOs can, you can ask questions to them, like, do it. Just go explore it. Be careful. There are scammers out there, but if you have some good guide who is already immersed in the ecosystem, you will be fine. And this can be the future for you, and maybe your family. It's a generation opportunity. Reese, on the like common side, like, what's the kind of your take on like the future of DAOs? Like, I know like you have like some views on the DAOs. You were like a little bit more into some memes back then. Now you are like thinking about more like DAOs as a programmable communities. Like, is there like specific view like you and the common have on DAOs, and how how you support them basically?
Yeah, I think DAOs are becoming increasingly social. I think the first, I guess, iteration of DAOs was extremely like governance focused, but I think it's kind of expanding to. I thought about I tweeted about are like DAOs just a bunch of loops. I think it's expanding from governance loops to a bunch of different social loops, and we've been experimenting with a bunch of meme communities as well, which has been fun. But yeah, I think the future of DAOs is well, I think is will become more social. I'm seeing a lot of more reputation based experiments, which I'm really excited about. I think Optimism has done that. Yeah, I think we're still very much in the experimental phase, so it's tough to say to give a clear path. But yeah, I'm excited. I think reputation based experiments is what I'm most excited about, and I think DAO is becoming more social and starting to experiment just outside of the core governance aspect.
Yeah, this is interesting because like some people think like DAOs are only like governing
Mhm,
the DeFi protocols and like being
mhm.
very financialized. But as you're saying, like we see more and more social type of DAOs,
Yeah,
which is more like communities. Like, do you have some example maybe you can bring up?
yeah. Interest group DAOs. I guess expanding from protocol DAOs. Yeah, interest groups. An example that I love to give is Links DAO. Raised 20 million to buy a golf course. DAO owned golf course. They've done that. They kind of smashed it out of the park, and they've created this insane global network of resources for all golfers to access, like access to private golf courses around the world, specific perks like access to gear, and yeah, they vote on like how to manage and like spend resources on the managing the golf course. And I think they there was a proposal on like how they should build out the practice greens, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, that's super cool. I'm not big golfer myself, so I'm not sure if I will participate in Links DAO. But it seems like a good way to do a sports club in general. Kevin, are you part of any social DAO as well?
I don't think I am. I think that I get
It's just
sort of my
business,
social
no
needs fed.
socializing, just business.
Well, I mean, Twitter is sort of like my socializing, and there's just not a good on-chain footprint there. But yeah, I think that maybe like I don't know if Meta Cartel would count as a social DAO. That was definitely like had different flavors of Meta Cartel through the years, and a lot of those people hang out together and go to MCon together. And you know, maybe if you squint a little bit, then that's a DAO.
Yeah, yeah. So what type of DAOs you are mostly involved in, if not that much social?
Mostly, I just spend my time on Gitcoin, um, which you know is the lens that I view a lot of this stuff through. Is how do we build software for DAOs to help them get capital to the issues and things that they want to work on. This is sort of like a subset of DAO governance, but how do you fund what matters to not only the Gitcoin community but to get other communities out there? And you know, we sell Gitcoin grants to a bunch of different projects out there and we use it ourselves. So that's like the primary, I guess, lens that I have into a bunch of other different DAOs is working with them as partners that are distributing capital to what matters in their communities.
Yeah, no, and this is great. And I'm part of Be Heart SF initiative, which is a kind of a non-profit initiative here in San Francisco, and it's a bunch of non-profits working together to solve, different issues. And they're exploring the DAO space a lot. They actually are a DAO, and they have multiple sub DAOs for different, kind of impact groups. So I'm not sure, Reese, if you have some experience with that, but maybe I start with you. Like, do you think like non-profits, it's actually a good use case, like this kind of impact-driven, like Gitcoin? Do you see on your platform also these type of DAOs kind of
Mhm.
popping up?
Yeah, yeah. I think specifically DAOs with the climate change mission, orienting around a climate change mission. Seen a lot of that. I think one of the oldest examples of that is Regen Network, and they've done a lot of really good work with around carbon credits. I think there's one called Change for Climate. I think is the DAO that has also been experimenting. But yeah, not for profit. I think the first uh, use case we've seen, I guess, on Common was around climate change, and it allows DAOs allow is like a mechanism that allows people to rally behind to then change or it work towards climate impact. Yeah,
Y-
with it.
Yeah, it's actually there is a, I think, interesting narrative with kind of the global reach and the local impact kind of
Mm.
thing. Kevin, like this is a question to you because like you are also part of, I believe, like the Boulder community, which like focus more on like local initiatives, but Gitcoin it's inherently global. So how you see like DAOs playing this like game of like coordinating like global resources but actually having like local impacts?
Yeah, so there's this idea, I think it's from Primavera de Felipe, of cosmolocalism, which is basically about the cosmo, the local, or sorry, the cosmo is the global, and the global is all of the global public goods that we rely on, things like climate and biodiversity and nuclear non-proliferation and open source software and stuff like that. And then there's the local, which are like the local trust networks and goods that we all live our embodied lives on locally. And one of the ideas of the cosmolocal movement is how might we reorient the relationship between the cosmo and the local to be more productive in the 21st century and in the 2020s. And basically, what it is in some ways it's a reaction to Web3, but in other ways, I think of it as a reaction to like the '90s era of globalization, where we hollowed out all of these manufacturing towns and put their jobs overseas. And you know, I think that we're seeing a broader reactionary movement against that kind of globalism. And you know, I would also say that like another thing I think it's a reaction to is the relationship between Silicon Valley and especially ad websites, like you know, Facebook communities basically going into these communities and spying on everyone and creating divisions because it's more profitable for their Silicon Valley investors. Well, how could we reimagine the relationship between the Cosmo and the local in order to provide a better experience for people in local communities to leverage global public goods like open source software, or all of the great funding mechanisms that we're innovating on in the Web3 space: quadratic funding, retro funding, deep funding, future like these are all, I don't know if everyone knows what these mechanisms are, but these are like my bread and butter, and basically they're just ways to fund what matters in your community. What are the ways that we could deploy those in local communities and not just on DeFi projects? So I think cosmolocalism is an interesting design space because there's this tension between the global and these local trust networks, and hopefully we'll find some really interesting local uses of crypto to help people fund what matters to them in the 21st century. I don't think Web3 is big enough to be solving like global coordination failures yet, like like climate change or anything like that. Like I'm proud that Ethereum reduced its energy consumption by 99.99% with the merge, but I also think that it's just only a fraction of GDP right now, and maybe there will be an option to solve these things in a more systemic way using crypto in 10 years if crypto succeeds in its current challenges and stages.
Yeah, definitely. Like we are still kind of a drop in the ocean compared like to global GDP and things. But I feel like also like it need to start somewhere, and definitely appreciate the projects which are starting the journey. Even though the impact might not be that great at this point, or they won't solve it, but they can show us the way. Uh, and then when we grow larger, we can actually execute. On it. So from that kind of global impact and local impact, like Reese, do you have any takes on that? I know like you're like now promoting like this kind of loops in the community, so reiterating on things. Like, is that something like uh you were thinking of, like the global maybe social or impact communities, but like then meeting like locally, type of stuff?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. The loops is really just around creating virtuous cycles within Web3 communities. So an example is launching, engaging with people, and then enabling them to learn or earn. Um, yeah. So also governance is also an example of a virtuous cycle or a loop that we're trying to build to, I guess, supercharge that virtuous cycle. Um, Also with community coordination and empowering contributors. Yeah, that's what we're focusing on when we talk about programmable communities and these loops that exist within DAOs. Yeah, building a product that yeah, supercharges these virtuous cycles that exist in Web3 communities.
Yeah. So like we are talking about like the general kind of DAO use cases here, but like, is there something which like you are really excited about, especially like in 2025? Something we were not even aware back then, like when DAO started, 2022 or earlier, and now we are like, wow, this is actually a great use case for DAOs, or this is like where we can explore like the new design space. Maybe Kevin, starting with you, like, is there any type of DAOs you think like this is actually like the new cool thing happening?
Hmm.
Let's
Yeah,
start with Reese now, and then continue to Kevin then.
Sounds
sure.
great.
Yeah, I'm excited about. I think when DAOs first came around, service DAOs wasn't didn't exist. I think that's kind of a newer thing. I think Vector DAO, for example. I think design is definitely a hobby of mine. So definitely not getting into Vector DAO anytime soon if people are familiar with it. But I think service DAOs, for I guess increasing accessibility into that specific field, like design, for example. I think that would be really cool. A DAO use case that I'm looking forward to. I think that's kind of aligned with the DAO ethos of increasing accessibility to certain resources. But yeah, service DAOs and increasing the barrier to entry into industries, I think, is what I'm looking forward to and hoping to see in 2025.
Yeah, definitely. We need some support for the ecosystem as such, and service DAOs can provide that. Kevin, like any other use case or type of DAOs you're really excited about in 2025?
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm just a trend follower, but I think that AI agents are really exciting right now. So, like this idea that you could train a swarm of AI agents um, on your material and your documentation and your thought leadership, and have them be like a thought partner for you, even have crypto wallets and like vote on decisions, I think is definitely a new frontier. And just to identify, not I started with a solution, but I should start with a problem. I work on Web3 public goods funding, and there's just a bunch of stuff that you got to know to work on that. Principal agent problems, free rider problems, Moloch traps, um, coordination failure. Like these are all game theoretic primitives that takes like 5 minutes each to understand. And so one of the problems that we have is that it's not just like simple to explain what we do. And I think there's beauty and simplicity and elegance altogether when you work on something simple. But one of the things I like about the AI agents is that you can bring people along a little bit easier with conversational AI agents that can explain things to you and be your thought partner. And so we're sort of working on a few things here, and I have nothing to unveil at this point, but I just think it's a new frontier, and it's kind of cool to think about how crypto and AI align.
Well, AI is definitely a big thing, and I think Kevin, you will be also doing a podcast with AI 16Z, correct?
Yep, recording it later today, and hopefully we'll drop it tomorrow. Should be fun.
Nice. So some alpha here. You should look for the greenpill.network and podcast. It will be dropped tomorrow. What will be dropped today will be the intro podcast session for How to DAO. So later today, we will drop the first intro episode into the new How to DAO podcast, which is a guest podcast on greenpill.network. So you should definitely check that out. We hope to bring you some value there. And I think just like wrapping up this space a little bit, I think we connected here, like we are imagining the DAOs, but like the most important for people, especially who are not here yet, is like how I can get involved, how I can like start my journey. So, Reese, I know you uh, co-created the common booklet for people to start. Like any insight into like what it's in there, like what will actually help people to get more involved, and how was like the overall experience actually creating this guide, survival guide, I believe you call it,
Mhm.
for people.
Yeah, yeah. In the book, it's helping you identify what DAOs that you really care about. It's one thing to want to get involved with DAOs, but I think it's really important to actually deeply care and resonate with the DAO mission before going ahead and contributing. So starting with that, and then looking at really stepping back and starting with how to launch and grow a DAO, and then in part one, and then in part two, talking building off of that and looking at that from the perspective of a contributor, somebody wanting to come in and helping grow and achieve the DAO's mission, and best practices, as well as like easy ways, just like one-off ways as well to get started on how to add value to the DAO.
Nice, nice. And I believe like you use actually the same framework we are using for our courses, the Moloch DAO framework, the DAO house in it. Is that correct?
No, no, I don't believe so. We're kind of very general.
I thought you told me you will use it, but maybe you changed your mind.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's one survival guide, but you can get another guide. Kevin, like, what do you think should be the first step for people? You know, apart from getting the How to DAO book, to kind of join the DAOs, and any insight you can give them from the book itself, like they should be really
Mhm.
excited about.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the first step is obviously to order the book at howtodao.xyz. And, I think that there's a certain amount of just understanding the philosophy of the space and why the software matters that you'll get out of the book. But book learning will only get you so far. And I like to tell people get involved and actually play with the tools that people are using, and don't risk more money than you can afford to lose. Do your own research, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that from there you can start to dip your toes in and to start to do things like make a multi-sig with some of your friends and vote on purchase some governance tokens or acquire some governance tokens somehow and vote on different proposals. Um, those are the sort of the basic things that I would recommend that people do as they're getting into the DAO space. And then make sure to join the How to DAO digital community. We're going to have cohorts where we onboard people into using various tools in the space. So a mix of book knowledge and empirical knowledge, I think, are the best way to explore the space.
Yeah, thank you for that. And like, just to add to it, like, the book is full of success stories but also failures, so you can really learn what other people already explored, so you don't need to make the same mistakes. You can just kind of follow the same success path to get you ahead. So, reading this book, it might take you a couple days. I think it's like 280 pages. So a long weekend should be enough, but then you might be years ahead in your journey in DAOs. And that's what we hope for. And so the last thing is, restarting with you, where people should go to learn more about Common, where they should follow you or anyone else from the team. Yeah, floor is yours.
Yeah, where to go to learn more about Common? You can definitely go on our website at common.xyz and look at all the DAOs that are using our platform. I honestly think there's a DAO for everybody. So yeah, check it out. As for me, my Twitter handle is rhreese rhys, spelling Reese. It's weird, but yeah.
Cool. And Reese is also founder of Beer DAO. So if you like beer, you should hit DM Reese, and he might drop you some beer token.
I am. Yes.
So that's another social DAO, very successful. People love it, especially from Czech Republic, where I am from. Like, people just love beer, so beer DAO it's just the way to go. Uh, Kevin, what about you? Where they should go to learn more about you, how to DAO, and where they should follow you?
Well, it's possible that you already follow me since I'm streaming this out through my Twitter. Thank you to Punkar for figuring out how to do that. Did not know that we could do that. Yeah, I'm just a walkie on Twitter, and then I think that's the primary place where you get my brain droppings. And if you Google Gitcoin, that's the primary project that I am working on at the moment, and really excited to help these DAOs fund what matters to them. So check out Gitcoin grants. Next Gitcoin grant round, I think, is in a couple months, and we'll have money available for people who are working in Web3. Also, check out the book at howtodao.xyz. If you give it a pre-order today, that helps support the project and also supports bringing DAOs into the mainstream, which is kind of what we're trying to Trojan horse in by doing this campaign. Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, thank you for being here. I will just reiterate on it, like, follow How to DAO book on X. We will be dropping more alpha basically every day till the launch in January. There is podcast coming. There is more deals coming for holidays. There is another cohort for students to join. Be kind of coming. So tons of things coming up. So please follow How to DAO book on X. Me, Punkar, H2D on X. And also I started Workout DAO. So if you are into fitness, that's why you should follow me as well. So Kevin, Reese, thank you for coming for this live stream. It was fun having you here. I hope you enjoyed as well. And see you next time.